Here are 5 illustration prompts you can use for your portfolio today. Tree, sun, dirt, bird, log. Are you inspired yet? No, because those illustration prompts suck, and so do most of the prompts that you'll find online. Anyone can flip through a book and pick a word at random, call it an illustration prompt, and plan a project around that word. But that is a terrible way to plan an illustration project, and it's not going to help your portfolio in any meaningful way. I'm James, an illustration agent, and I help illustrators build their careers. And in this video, I'm going to share an illustration challenge with you that will help you plan your illustration projects and improve your portfolio. And as an incentive, I'll be offering feedback on any submissions I receive before the end of September 2024. I may regret making that offer, but I'm up for it if you are. Make sure to watch to the end to see how you can submit your work. I don't usually like to begin a video on such a negative tone, but I hate to see people wasting their time. Before we go any further, I want to say that I do genuinely appreciate the benefits of a challenge like Inktober. Other illustration challenges are available. It's inclusive, it gets people drawing, it gives some accountability, and it fosters a sense of community among artists. And personally, I love a challenge. So many of my achievements in life are thanks to me or somebody else challenging me to do something for an arbitrary amount of time every day. Inktober does the same thing for artists that Couch to 5K does for people who want to get fit, or NaNoWriMo does for people who want to write a novel. It's a well-meaning, positive initiative. People love it, and I can see why. Inktober's had a lot of copycats over the years, as has Couch to 5K, because it's a great idea. And if you have a great idea, people will copy you. But let's see it for what it is. A fun little exercise to get people drawing every day. It's not designed to make your portfolio more appealing to clients. There's no commercial focus. The focus is habit building and fun, and both are absolutely valuable. But we need to know what we can expect from taking part and what we shouldn't expect. Since 99.9% of clients are never going to give you a one-word brief for your illustration project, it doesn't make sense to plan your personal projects like that. I say 99.9% because I have actually been part of a project where that was exactly the brief. The client sent out single words to multiple illustrators to work from with no other direction. It was a pretty good project, but also a very rare case. Squirrel. I see you, squirrel. Working on these one-word prompts seems like a huge missed opportunity to me. A one-word prompt is very limited in itself. However, it does give you the freedom for you to build on it and really make it your own. With some thoughtful adjustments, we can still have fun and build the drawing habit, but also produce work that's going to make our portfolio more appealing to clients and more likely to get us hired. I write an illustration prompt every month for my community members, and they share their written ideas and their sketches for feedback. Then they share the final work in a gallery. And there's some great work that comes out of there. Each and every one of those images has a purpose, and we make them with specific clients in mind. At the end, it adds something genuinely useful to the artist's portfolio. If you want to learn more about the community, you can check out this video, or you can click the link in the description. I shared an illustration prompt on my Instagram too a few months back. You may have seen my Sportfolio reel. And how many sports-themed illustrations have you seen this summer in magazines, on TV, for products, and all kinds of other things? This has been a massive summer for sports, and I'd be really interested to know if you made some sports-themed illustrations this year. Leave me a comment if you did. Let's take a couple of examples from the Inktober 2023 list. It's just a random mix of words, but there are definitely some that have more obvious commercial application from my point of view. Let's start with an easy one, spicy. Aside from it being spelled incorrectly, spicy could apply to lots of different practical commercial illustration projects. Here's what springs to mind for me. Food could be a supermarket range of spice pastes from India or Thailand or Africa. Maybe it's more like a dry rub that you'd apply to meat, like a Texas barbecue or Mexican or South African spice mix. Already that's evoking color palettes for me. Oranges and reds for India to communicate that heat, more primary yellow and red and green for Mexico, or maybe different shades of green and yellow for Thailand to represent those really fresh flavors used in Thai cooking, lime and lemongrass, for example. It's also making me think of the patterns and design motifs that you'd find in those countries. There's a lot to dive into there when you're doing your research. And this could easily be for potato chip flavours or chocolate even. Chili flavours go really well with chocolate. We could even get into spicy drinks. One of my favourite cocktails is a spicy margarita, tequila and Tabasco. In fact, the hot sauce market loves illustration. You know, really wild and outrageous illustration styles are all over hot sauce bottles. So we've got a potential use case, packaging. We know what we want the illustration to do. That's communicate those flavours visually so the customer gets a sense of what they can expect when they buy it and cook it. What it adds to your portfolio is a project that could be used by a real client, in this case, a food manufacturer or a supermarket. That is a great project. We could also potentially make this an editorial illustration. Maybe a magazine is doing a feature on the tastes of northern Indian cooking. So you might get into mustard seeds and pepper and saffron and coriander seeds. If it's southern Indian cooking, it would have more chili and more heat. It could be a cookbook. You could look at cookbooks from different regions or cultures and you can see the visual representations of how the food is going to taste in those designs. Spicy could also potentially be interpreted in a different way. An illustration for Playboy magazine would probably be pretty spicy. And you could go down that X-rated route if you felt inclined to do so. But there's a less broad appeal for commercial clients if you get into that area. Let's pick a harder one. Dream. On the face of it, dream seems pretty easy. The word dream in itself is very evocative, and I'm sure lots of imagery comes to mind for you. But do you know what comes to mind for me? A 10-year-old kid at school writing a story for his class where lots of crazy and wonderful things happen and he meets a fluffy elephant that takes him to a playground filled with bubble gum or whatever. And then he ends the story with, "And I woke up and it was all a dream." Sorry kid, that's not good writing. And if you approach this illustration prompt the same way, by putting whatever you want in there, it's not going to make a good illustration. It might make a beautiful looking image, but without some more considered planning, it won't mean anything to anybody, just like your dreams. So let's start with who it's for. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking about any products that are related to sleep. Beds and mattresses, sleep masks or supplements that you might take for better sleep, sleep tracking apps, or something like a meditation app that will help you de-stress and sleep better. I'm sure you've seen those new sound-cancelling loop earbuds that are advertised all over Instagram at the moment. Maybe we're looking at a psychology magazine with an article that is about dreams. Even then, though, the article will have a particular focus or maybe a scientific discovery. It's not going to be super general. Book covers would be a great one too, and they might offer you a bit more of a loose, dream-based brief to work with, depending on the book. Maybe it's about nightmares, or lucid dreaming, or sleep paralysis, or about the science of dreaming in itself. So there's a few options there. Consumer products that are directly related to sleep, health and wellness products that will improve your sleep, tech products that will track your sleep, food supplements that will affect your sleep, and books or articles about dreams, which you'd probably put in the popular science category. That is a really good list of commercial applications for an illustration. So then you can think about what your illustrations are going to do. It could be advertising a product. A lot of sleep-related products are advertised on social media. I know I get a lot of ads, I can't be the only one. So that would give you a hint of what format the illustration would be. I bought a Simba mattress, and I'm pretty sure that was advertised on social media, but they also advertised in print and on TV too. So the advert might be communicating the idea that if you buy this product, you'll have a long and restful sleep full of sweet dreams. The illustrations could be giving a customer instructions on how to use a product. Maybe it's a sleep tracking app or something like a Fitbit where you can see your sleep stats and it shows you the phases of your sleep and when you're dreaming. Maybe it's 3 steps. Step 1, illustration of a person putting on the sleep tracker. Step 2, an illustration of them asleep and dreaming. And step 3, an illustration of them looking at the stats in the app. Simples. If it's a book or an article with a specific idea about dreaming, your illustration will communicate the main idea visually. You could get really creative with something like that, but crucially, the illustration is still serving a purpose for the client. So what would a dream-themed illustration actually add to your portfolio? If the illustration has no purpose other than the expression of a weird dream that you might have had, it serves no purpose. Dali's surreal artworks are beautiful and interesting, but they're not commercial illustrations. They have no practical function. If you think about who it's for, what the specific message is, and what purpose it serves, then it's going to add a lot to your portfolio. A potential client can look at that illustration, and without even knowing anything about the project, they can hopefully tell what the article was about or what sort of client you made it for, or they'll be able to see that you can illustrate clear visual instructions for a consumer tech product. I hope that gives you an idea of how you can extract more value from one-word illustration prompts you find online, or, let's face it, by flicking through a dictionary and picking a word at random. If you're liking this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. So here's my illustration prompt for you. We're not starting with a word, we're starting with the client. Then we can guarantee that the final outcome will be focused and commercial. Step 1. Think of 3 clients you'd like to work with one day. And for the sake of variety, let's try and mix up the industries. Maybe one is a publisher, maybe the other is a sportswear brand, and the other is a tech company. They can be whatever you want. Go with something that suits your interests and your values. But try to choose potential clients that do hire illustrators regularly and have the money to pay you for your work. Step 2. Spend 20 minutes researching each client and see how they've used illustration in the past, what they've used it for, whether it's on their website or their app or on some t-shirts or packaging. See what formats they use regularly. Maybe they have a blog with a specific size and shaped header illustration, or maybe their packaging is a specific size and shape box or packet. Then see what kinds of illustration styles they've used in the past. Maybe they like classy and refined minimal styles, or maybe they're super colourful and adventurous. This research is an important step because you might discover that they don't use illustration, or they don't use an illustration style that you can work in. If you find that out, don't waste your time. Go back to step 1 and pick a different client. Step 3, sketch out 3 different ideas for illustrations for each client, considering what you've learned from the research and what the purpose of each illustration is going to be. Maybe it's an ad, maybe it's instructional, maybe it's decorative, or maybe it's narrative based. Step 4, post those on your social media in a story and set up a poll or vote thingy and ask people to vote on their favourite. You'll probably have your own favourite, but you might discover that your audience prefers a different one. You can tag me at the Illustrator's Guide in the story and I'll let you know what I think too. This has a side bonus of encouraging a bit of social media engagement, which we could all use a little bit more of, let's face it. Step 5, complete 3 new illustrations, 1 for each client that you picked. For this exercise, go with what the people who voted choose rather than your own favourite. Think of them as your client, because a real client won't always pick your favourite sketch, so you've got to get used to working on the one that the client wants. Step 6, post the finals to your social media, and if you're feeling brave, tag the client in the post. If you want to work for that client and you've taken the time to produce something that they will like with careful research, why not take a chance to see if they'll see it and react to it? There's no guarantees, of course, but it's worth a shot. Add the hashtag #TIGIlloChallenge to your posts. Then I and everyone else taking part can see what's been produced. Here's why this challenge works. It requires you to generate multiple ideas, which is good practice, but also encourages you to leave the decision-making to other people, which is often how it will work with real clients. It requires research on the client and their specific needs for illustration. You'll get some practice in showing your work, even if it's not complete or perfect. Hopefully it will also help with some social media engagement by asking for other people's opinions and then showing them how you progressed from sketch idea to final illustration. If they voted, they'll be interested to see how it turns out. And finally, you'll have 3 new illustrations to show. If you don't have time to do this for 3 clients, don't let that stop you trying completely. If you only have time for 1, that's better than nothing. I really hope you'll take up this illustration challenge with me. For 3 illustrations, I reckon 6 weeks is enough for most of you. I'm posting this video sometime in mid-August, so I'll happily give feedback on Instagram roughly 6 weeks from that date. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with. And please share this video with anyone who you think might be interested in taking part. Tag me in your posts or send me a DM and I'll get back to you with my feedback. You don't have to go with what I say, it's just one man's opinion. You might find your other followers outvote me, and that is perfectly fine. Go with what the people want. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up, and you may also like this video, which is about what clients really want from illustrators and what they hate. See you next time.